Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, I'm Jimmy.
I'm Natalie.
And this week we're going to attempt to tackle some of your burning questions.
We recently finished with our build. We did the whole conversion ourselves, and we have a build series. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. We kind of just started traveling. We've only been on the road for a few weeks, so we're kind of getting acclimated to living in the bus full time, but we've got a long way to go before we're used to it. So this is just kind of the Start of Buslife Q&A. So we picked out a lot of your questions. I think we read all of the ones that have been posted to date, and we picked out our favorites. I think we're going to cover most of them.
We're just going to fire these questions back and forth. I'll be asking Natalie, and then she'll ask me, and we'll see how many we can get through. All right, Natalie, your first question for you. What are your favorite things about our new bus?
All right, I got it. I really like our hidden window coverings. They keep it a lot cooler in here. I wasn't anticipating just how dramatic the temperature difference is, and they're really easy to put away. I also really like our hidden TV cabinet a lot more than I expected to. It feels pretty luxurious whenever we have it out. So probably those two, the window coverings and the TV. All right, so Jimmy.
Yes.
Do you have any regrets about the build?
No. Next question. Yeah, a few.
I feel like it's too early to really have that many regrets.
Definitely. So anything I'm about to name, I still love it, and I wouldn't necessarily do it differently, but maybe it didn't turn out as we had thought. One of the more structural aspects that I kind of regret is our insulation choice for the roof. We decided to use 2-inch insulation foam, and then we put shiplap over top of that insulation. And what happened was that the metal struts of the bus were just under 2 inches. And so that caused the foam to stick out a little bit, and then when we attached the shiplap next, it made all the shiplap kind of bow to the curve of the foam and the struts. So if you get real close to our shiplap and look head on, you can kind of see this waving pattern, which, you know, I'll defend it a little bit. It's not that noticeable, but, you know, since we built it, I feel like I can notice it. So I think going forward, if I had to do this again, I'd probably choose a different type of insulation, or at least just pick a smaller one. If I had to pick another one, probably, I see a lot of people use that denim or like wool substitute for insulation. That one seems a lot more malleable, and I feel like you could cram it in these spots that we couldn't really get the hard foam to fit. This is a good question. So like, I want to ask you too, do you have any regrets?
Oh no, I was picking that one so I didn't have to answer it.
I feel like it's such a good question people want to know about.
I'm too defensive to have regrets.
That's fair.
I regret getting taken for a ride by all the mechanics. Like, I regret how we handled the situations with getting the bus repaired. I kind of wish we tried to take on more of it ourselves or found a better mechanic, because I think we spent a lot more money on mechanics bills than we needed to.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that was we had started the build and we had our budget, and we had all of our budget. We hadn't done any of the build yet. And so we were like, okay, great, we can afford these mechanical bills, which we did, and we paid them off. And then towards the end, we were kind of running thin on our budget, and we had to make some compromises because of those choices earlier in the build.
Oh, it makes me sick to think about. So I guess I would call that a regret.
Yeah, hindsight's 20/20, and I think we would have done that differently. So next question, how did you get your knowledge for building your very own camper bus? I feel like there's a pretty clear answer in my head.
We didn't.
All right, I was thinking of YouTube, but
YouTube, yeah. I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. We learned it as we were going. Just YouTube is pretty much the answer for that one.
Yeah, we went pretty fast, and so like 1 week we'd be working on one project, and we would work on it during the daytime, and then during the nighttime we would go back and watch YouTube videos and do research about how to do the next project that we'd be working on the next week. And that was just kind of our process. And I think it worked out pretty well, and we haven't fallen apart yet. So
yeah,
that was kind of our process that we used.
What are the dimensions of the habitable space? How tall is the bus? We can get those dimensions, and we'll put them like right here. I don't know them off the top of my head, but that is a really good question. So
yeah, but I think the one people are probably interested in is how tall is it? And I'm 5'10", and I have about 4 inches of clearance, so it's perfect for me. So here's a couple of quick fire questions. Natalie, you can go first.
Are we gonna do a tour video?
Yes, definitely. And most likely pretty soon. So if you're interested in that, please don't forget to subscribe. We will definitely put out a tour video very soon.
All right, rapid fire actually starts now.
Okay, sorry, yes. After you subscribe, then we'll go faster.
Right.
For you, what are you using for internet?
We use a hotspot on a Visible phone plan, which is a subsidiary of Verizon,
Yes.
I think.
The plan is $40 a month, and it's reduced by $5 every time you add someone to your plan, up to 4 people, meaning that the lowest price you can get it for is $25 a month, and it's unlimited data with hotspot on the Verizon network.
How do we lock our doors?
Okay, so our front door is very secure. That one has a giant master puck lock, and the back two are a little bit different. We're using a chain lock for the side one here, which means you can only unlock it from the inside. And then for the back one, since that door is smaller, it's a little bit inaccessible from the inside, we basically have a master lock that goes over the handle that prevents you from even opening the handle from the outside. We have locks for all 3 doors, and we're safe. What is the name of your Skoolie?
We don't have one. We've been waiting for inspiration to hit us, and it just hasn't yet. So if you have any ideas, we'd love to hear them. This is a lot of parts. Okay. Alright, so start with, how's the hidden toilet and shower combo working out? Is it too small?
It is working out great. So if you haven't seen it yet, we have our shower compartment with a waterproof cubby on the side that we have our toilet on wheels that will slide into it. And so it works great. It's the perfect size for it. So instead of bringing out the toilet to the hallway when we want to shower, we can just slide it into the little waterproof cubby. And it's out of the way. It's perfect. It works great. My one complaint is that when we waterproof the floor, we only used 1 can of Flex Seal, which means that it's kind of thin, and so it's starting to crack in some places. And so we've had to repair that with some Flex Tape. And since then, it's been working great. But yeah, overall, it's great. It's just the flooring is a little bit thinner than I would like it. We might just put on extra coats of Flex Seal later, but overall pretty good. And then part 2 of that question is, how has the TV survived so far?
The TV is doing great. We have hit some very large bumps, and I've been a little worried about it, but we have a big piece of foam across the entire bottom of our TV cabinet, so that seems to have protected it while we're traveling.
Finally, our most asked question for this category is for Natalie. Did you consider putting a second captain's chair up front to help with car sickness?
In our last vlog, I mentioned very briefly that I get car sick, and I got a lot of really good tips, a lot of car sickness cures that I had never heard, and probably the most asked one was, why don't I sit closer to the front? Well, we put a seatbelt in this seat, actually, where we're sitting right now. This is the only other seatbelt apart from the driver's seat. That's just the most secure place where it's more closely bolted to the ribs of the bus. We did consider putting a second chair up front to have a captain's chair, and I think it would be really nice while we're driving. But we decided not to do that because we really wanted an open walkway and an open concept for the floor plan. And I don't regret it. I think we could add a second chair if we wanted to, but I really think it would kind of mess with the layout we have.
Yeah, I really like the open concept that we've got, and that's why we chose to keep all the windows open. That's why we don't have another wall right here to block off the bed. We really want this open concept, and so a second chair at the front would kind of block off the stairwell. And so that's why our first instinct was to not put one up there.
So I think that wraps up all the questions about our build. So I guess we'll move to the next category. So Jimmy.
Yes.
Cost breakdown for the conversion?
This was a very popular question. And I'm sure in the future we will be doing a proper cost breakdown where we might walk through every category of electrical, plumbing, and furniture and things like that, and we can tell you how much we spent on each of those projects.
We kept a master list the entire time, where every time we buy a box of screws, that goes on our Excel sheet. So we have a very detailed cost breakdown. We just need to break it down for a future video.
Yes. We do, unfortunately, have the final number. I say unfortunately because it's a little bit more than we had hoped at the beginning, but so this is what it is. So we spent a total of $27,000 on this build, but that includes the $7,000 initial payment we spent for the empty bus. And after that, it was $20,000 of tools, wood, lumber, electrical, plumbing, everything else, which is a little bit higher than what we had budgeted for at the very beginning. But we did build this during the peak of the lumber shortage, and we were buying sheets of plywood between $50 and $70 at times. It was crazy, and we bought a lot of lumber. So that was a big part of it, and also our electrical system. I feel like we spent a good amount of money on as well because we didn't want to regret it and have to upgrade it later, and we would end up spending more money anyway. So we just went ahead. We bought the 3,000 watt inverter. We bought the 300 amp hour lithium iron phosphate batteries from Renogy
that last 10 years instead of 3 or 5.
Yeah, going into this, we knew this was an investment, so we were okay with spending that amount of money.
Our initial estimate, like what we thought we would spend, was $25,000.
Next question is, was it difficult to find an insurance company to cover your bus as you live full time?
We have not done that yet, right?
Nope.
We have to get it registered as an RV because we have it registered as a bus, which was pretty easy to do. We just went to our title office and got it registered as a bus, and then we called our insurance, which is State Farm, and they didn't really have any issues. They just asked for a couple pictures, and it's insured as a bus. We want to get it insured as an RV so that we can insure all of this that we added to it. I'm sure it might be a pain. A lead that we might follow to get it registered as an RV and titled as an RV is we may have to go through Vermont because I think that they have a much easier system. And even if you don't live there, you're allowed to do that. So that's pretty much all our knowledge on it right now. So sorry, we don't have a more helpful answer, at least not yet.
If you're interested about the cost of the insurance, so I think we're spending about $350 per 6-month period. So it's about $700 a year on insurance.
So this was the most requested question out of all the categories. This is the one thing that everyone really wanted to know, and that is, how will we afford travel?
As far as the startup funds, we were working at our corporate jobs for about 3 years, and throughout that whole time we had been saving nonstop, and that's how we were able to afford the actual conversion and a year's worth of travel. That's what we had budgeted for. But moving forward, we knew we needed some type of income to come in, and so that's why last January we actually signed up for Amazon's Camper Force warehouse program, which, if you don't know, basically means that if you have a camper or some type of converted RV, you can sign up with them and work temporarily at their warehouse throughout the holiday season. So for us, that'll start mid-October and end mid-December of this year. We plan on doing as much travel in the next 45 weeks as we can, but come October, we'll need to head to Tennessee to start our Amazon warehouse jobs there.
So we've had a few people ask us recently if there's a way that they can support us and help us stay on the road, and now we have an answer for you guys. We just set up our Patreon account. Please go check it out after this video. Don't feel pressured to contribute, but if you do feel compelled, just know that it means a lot to us and we sincerely appreciate it.
On our Patreon, we've got a lot of cool rewards on our tiers, everything ranging from behind the scenes and extra content to live streams to letters and postcards that we'll send you while we're on the road.
Basically, how will we afford travel? There's Amazon warehouse, there's our savings, and there's your support from you guys. So thank you for that.
And that brings us to our next category. All right, let's do another speed round. All right, first question is, what are your degrees in?
I have a bachelor's in economics with a minor in math.
I have a degree in computer science and also a minor in math. So very helpful for the bus build.
Jimmy, what did you do for work?
I worked as a software engineer for the technology department in the Home Depot.
And I worked for a few years in finance as a financial analyst. And we actually worked for the same company.
All right, Natalie, do either of you have siblings?
Yes, we both have a brother and a sister. I am the oldest.
And I'm the middle child. I have an older brother and a younger sister.
Jimmy, why do we put ranch on our sandwiches?
Good question. Yeah, I think this came about from our last vlog video. I think we had a shot of us putting ranch on our deli sandwich. Basically, I think Natalie started with it first. If you haven't tried ranch on a deli sandwich, you've got to try it.
I always thought it was a normal thing, and Jimmy really likes ranch, so I kind of knew he'd like it. This guy puts ranch on his hot dogs.
It's good. It's really good. All right, Natalie, who was your biggest inspiration in the Skoolie community to live this lifestyle, and why?
There are a lot of other YouTubers that we watch and feel inspired by and that kind of led us to this lifestyle. Initially, I think we were really hooked in by Kenzie and Joey. The channel is now called Kenzie West. I think they split a few years ago. They were both like 20 years old, and they bought a van and they converted it themselves, and we just loved watching their videos. It was really inspiring. We've also kind of gotten hooked on a few other channels. The Nomadic Movement is a big one. We watched them for a long time when they were traveling in their schoolie. It was also like Leave Her Wild, Schooliana, of course, they're huge.
Yeah.
There are a lot of big channels that we obviously love. My favorite channel right now, I think both of our favorite channel, is Let's Play Ride and Seek with Nat and Abby. I just really, really love them. They're a female couple and they're traveling the US and Canada. They just finished a 6-month renovation of their van. They're just really cool. They make us laugh with every video they put out, and they're so genuine and honest, and they have 2 senior dogs and they just take the best care of them. I just love watching their channel. It makes me happy.
And Natalie has asthma, so she can't have dogs, so she probably, so she lives vicariously through them.
Yeah.
Because their dogs are very cute.
They're so cute. Check them out. They're Let's Play Ride and Seek. If you haven't heard of them, they're obviously a much bigger channel than us, but they're awesome.
And yeah, if you're interested in who else we like to watch, just go check out our channels page. I think all our subscriptions are public, and everyone on there we really enjoy to watch and can highly recommend.
Jimmy, what initially made you do Bus Life?
The story that went along with this one was that when Natalie and I were working our corporate jobs, one weekend we found a movie called, what's it called?
Expedition Happiness?
Yeah, called Expedition Happiness. It was about a German couple that came over to the States and renovated a long school bus, and they traveled through the US and Canada. And
I think they were trying to go to Argentina, but yeah, I don't want to spoil it for you.
It's a good movie. You should check it out.
Yeah.
But basically, we found that one weekend. That was the first real look into this lifestyle that we've ever had. We've never considered it before that. And after watching that movie the same night, we just stayed up watching and finding YouTube videos about other people doing the same thing. We stayed up till like 6 a.m. that night.
Which we never do. That's not normal for us.
Yeah, and we watched all these videos and we were just learning so much about it, and we just got so excited about it.
When we heard about Bus Life, it was just such a huge realization. Like, I think it was a massive turning point for us, and we were worried we were too excited about it, so we told ourselves we can't mention this to anyone else for at least a few months and see if the idea sticks, and I guess you can tell it stuck.
Yeah, our excitement for it has not gone down since the day we learned about it, which was again 2 to 3 years ago at this point. So Natalie, what is the best part of living this lifestyle?
I feel like I haven't experienced it yet, and I think that's just being location independent. Every day could just be filled with so many adventures, and it's up to us to make that happen. But we just started. I don't think we've really done that yet. I definitely see our bus as a way to experience more of the world, and a lot of the country I haven't been to. I've never been further west than Texas. So there's a lot that I haven't seen. So I definitely see the bus as our ticket to do that. Gosh, I get to ask you the hottest question of this category. What scares you the most?
You. No, just kidding.
He's probably not kidding.
She is very scary.
I'm not. I'm nice.
Honestly, it's probably getting stuck in the bus somewhere. We've obviously had our fair share of mechanical issues. I'm just nervous about when we get on the road and, we're 100 miles from the closest town and we get stuck and we run out of power or something happens. It's just kind of worst case scenario in my head, I guess.
Like physically stuck somewhere.
Physically stuck, yeah. Physically stuck in the bus somewhere. And we can't get out and we're too far away for help and we don't have phone service. Things like that. So it's pretty worst case scenario, but and I'm not too worried about it, but it's probably honestly the most thing I'm scared of this lifestyle. Quickly, you want to add what yours is?
My biggest fear about bus life is that it's going to end too soon. That's probably more of an anxious thought than a genuine fear, because I think we'll be okay.
Natalie, you're going to love this question. Where did we meet, and did we like each other from the very beginning?
Okay. Alright, so we technically met in the 9th grade in high school. We were in the same geography class. We didn't really talk until we ended up going to the same college, and we met up for dinner the very first week of freshman year with some mutual friends, and we kind of have spent every waking minute together since then. Like, no joke.
For better or for worse.
Yeah, he likes it, right?
Yeah, it's fun. Yes. Told you she's scary.
Gosh.
And that was about 7 years ago at this point.
The most asked question about our relationship is, Are we married? And if not, when are we getting married?
So we are not married, but we are engaged. So September of last year, we went on a nice, long, romantic hike, and I proposed, and she said yes. We've been engaged for about a year now. As far as when we're gonna get married, we do not have a date picked out, but we're looking to maybe early next year, but we will see.
We've just been putting all of our energy and, frankly, money into the build because I'm very excited to be married, but in terms of having an actual wedding, I think for me it was more important to invest the money into the build, which is a way for us to spend more time together than, having the day to celebrate it. But we are definitely still trying to figure out what that's going to look like, and you guys will be among the first to know.
Follow-up question, can you share wedding photos?
So obviously not yet. We will when that happens. We can share a couple of pictures of the two of us over the years, and we'll put those up now. I mistook you for a dream. The engine glows. Jimmy, what apps do we use for free campsites?
Like Natalie mentioned, we've only been on the road for 2 weeks so far, but the main one we're using is called iOverlander. Are you going to any Skoolie meetups, such as Descend on Ben, Skoolie Palooza, etc.?
We would love to. We're gonna do our best to make it to Skoolie Palooza in Arizona in January, but we have to get from Tennessee to Arizona in about a month, which should be doable as long as nothing bad happens mechanically. So we're gonna do our best. Where are we from?
We're both from South Carolina. We were born and raised there. And we've pretty much been there our whole life. We spent a little bit of time in Atlanta, Georgia for our jobs before we moved back to South Carolina to work on the bus build. Is there one place in particular each of you are most excited to reach or explore?
So we probably both have the same answer for this. Banff National Park in Alberta, Canada. We've seen pictures and it looks absolutely gorgeous. There are tons of other places on our bucket list. Banff is probably our #1 bucket list destination, right?
I would fully agree, yeah.
Do you have a timeline associated with your travels?
Yes and no. I guess just to give you a quick timeline, we are planning on doing as much traveling on the East Coast as possible before our Amazon warehouse jobs start in October. And then we'll be working until December. And then after the Christmas holiday, like Natalie mentioned, we're going to fly, not really, we're gonna drive west to Skoolie Palooza, and from there start traveling throughout the West Coast and hopefully hit Banff in that same year. So
that'd be nice.
Yeah, so that's kind of our short list of what our itinerary is going to look like in the next couple months. Our final question and our most liked of this category is, Natalie, how long do you plan on traveling for, and do you think that the bus will be in your life long term?
Definitely, and as long as we can. I really want us to keep this lifestyle going for as long as we can afford to, and as long as it's fun, but come on, I feel like we're gonna love this. The bus is definitely in our plans long term. We are even, gosh, I don't even know if I should say this because I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea, but we daydream a little bit about if we were to do a second build, what would we do different? And so, I think we want to keep this bus for a long time. We really love it and we're super excited about how it turned out. But I definitely think this lifestyle is gonna stick for us for a long time.
Yeah, at this point, I think we'd sooner rather do a second build than give up this lifestyle.
Absolutely.
I say very confidently 2 weeks into our new lifestyle.
We definitely won't regret that later, right?
I'll make sure to clip that and use this in next year's Q&A.
I'm pretty confident though. We've spent a lot of time thinking about this and daydreaming about this, and this was pretty much our hobby before we even had it. We would spend our weekends planning and budgeting and trying to research a couple topics, and we drew up so many dream layouts along the way before we had our dimensions, and we're all in on the bus, so I definitely see this as a long-term thing.
And with that, it wraps up our Q&A.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and don't forget to check out our Patreon.
Thanks again, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Bye!